Hello Phoenix, this is FPV and Arizona.com. This video and presentation are my opinions and my views from years of flying these kinds of aircraft and years of doing photography and videography. So anyway, you can take it for what it's worth, but please be respectful in the comments. Thank you. Ordinance G6086. Phoenix is going to be banning drones and UAS in all its parks except a few designated flying areas. This poses a bunch of safety issues. This is to do an end run around the FAA ruling that allows us to legally fly in U.S. airspace. The city is banning the launch, takeoff, and landing of UAS drones. You may stop here and actually look at the ordinance. I'm not going to read it out. It's right here for you to look at. This is from an FAA memo released December 17, 2015. I'm going to go ahead and read the entire thing. It is kind of important. It's the basis for all of this. Substantial air safety issues are raised when state or local governments attempt to regulate the operation of flight or aircraft. If one or two municipalities enacted ordinances regulating UAS in the navigational airspace and a significant number of municipalities followed suit, fractionalized control over the navigatable airspace would result. In turn, this patchwork quilt of differing restrictions could severely limit the flexibility of FAA in controlling the airspace and flight patterns and ensuring safety and an efficient air traffic flow. A navigatable airspace free from inconsistent state and local restrictions is essential to the maintenance of a safe and sound air transportation system. So the question here comes up, does forcing drones, UAS to fly at designated locations only appear to be in conflict with the FAA's rules regarding operation of aircraft? We're going to get to that. On this slide, to take this image, I will have to travel 2.5 miles round trip from a park I can legally fly at to a park where I can actually take a scenic photograph. In this slide right here, I will have to travel 7-mile round trip. And this again is over city streets, over homes, over schools, over businesses, when it would be really easy for me to go right to this park in the middle of nowhere and do the flight perfectly safe. On this last slide, okay, we have a picture that would take me a 16-mile round trip to do. And yes, I do have the capability of doing this. It's really not that hard with the UAS technology. But again, that's 16 miles round trip, okay, to take a photograph, because I am banned from standing in the middle of the desert in this preserve and flying a drone. On the next slide here, we have a flight that would normally have been done locally at a location in a very safe manner now becomes a long-distance flight over city streets and homes. This ban would reroute UAS flights and affect operations of UAS flights over Phoenix. This seems to be contrary to what the FAA memo is trying to say. How this will affect safety is another concern. Safety should always come first. And it's always safer for me to fly at a location than it is for me to fly over long distances of city. This is really common sense. The second part of the ban restricts UAS to limited number of parks and adds them into existing RC operations. UAS should never, ever be forced to cluster in one area. The limited number of video bands available for use at any one time is very limited. 4 to 6 can be used at one time with coordination and proper equipment setup. That means the individuals know exactly what they're doing. They've set their equipment up properly. Without that, this is a huge safety issue. The city of Phoenix is trying to route all of the drone users into these small little parks, into small little airspaces. On this next slide here, if I am on a video flight at any distance and another user turns on their system, they will blow out my video. The end result is a drone without a pilot. If another drone user flies too close to me while I'm on video, my signal can be swamped out. The end result will be a drone that is no longer being controlled by the flyer. Experienced drone operators avoid other drones. We don't want to cluster with other drones. I mean, this is, really common sense on this technology. The exception, of course, being drone racers. Drone racers coordinate. They don't have autopilots in most cases, and they are really controlled, as far as, what their frequencies are. Most operators understand this. The FAA gets this. They understand it. The city of Phoenix seems not to, or just doesn't care. Look at those slides I just got done showing here a few minutes ago. If I was on that flight, and I'm 8 miles out of the park, and some guy comes into the park with his brand new drone, turns it on, blows me out, then it's a huge issue at that point, I've got a drone 8 miles out that I can no longer pilot. And this is the situation this will end up creating in Phoenix. This is really unacceptable. On the next slide here, next up we have the issue of combining expensive UAS with park flyer aircraft. I do not know of any owners who want to fly their $6,000 videography photography drone with a $100 park plane. There is a huge disconnect here on the city's part. A lot of these aircraft are not toys and have absolutely no business flying in a park airplane pattern. The FAA has clearly separated these two groups. They understand that these are two separate classes of aircraft. The city again creates safety issues by combining the two. You just can't combine them. Airplanes fly at high rates of speed. Most drones are slow. They putter around. They're used for videography, photography. You're not going to take this into an aircraft pattern and fly there. Just the lack of understanding here of the technology, to try to force something like this is it's unbelievable. The last issue I'm going to bring up here is in regards to AMA FAA flying rules. These are mentioned throughout the ordinance that Phoenix is doing. They are not rules. They are guidelines. Guidelines are not mandatory, nor are they enforced. The back of my FAA registration card says guidelines. It does not say that these are rules. Most people have a big disconnect about this, and apparently the city does too. Most flyers respect the guidelines and follow them, but they are not mandatory. The city is going to end up creating safety issues by bypassing the federal laws, The drones are not toys to be clustered in a park, with other RC, flyers. God, I cannot even emphasize the issues they're going to have with video on this, The blowouts, everything else. But again, most of us guys are responsible. I've done over 1,500 flights without an incident, without a one. But that means me going to the location I'm going to fly at and being able to fly. Not flying 16 miles to go take a photograph. This is craziness. This is absolutely craziness. What you have here is a small preserve. Phoenix is full of these. They're everywhere. This is a real tiny one. It borders, several different developments. I live over here. Under the ban rules, I would not be able to fly my drone right here in this spot of dirt where it's absolutely safe. This is, I don't even know what to say, I could actually fly my drone from my house to here and do photography. Flying over all these homes is legal under FAA rules. Flying from a park 2 miles away to this location is legal. But flying where it's safe will be banned. For the last segment here, I'm going to go over what a drone is real quick because I think there's a disconnect at the city between what an actual drone is and what they're capable of. I have 3 of them sitting here right now in front of me. One is a little F-450 with a NASA autopilot. There is a Canard sitting down here that is hand-built, also equipped with an autopilot return to home. Has about an 8-mile range. Over here we have a larger drone. It's actually incredibly light. All of these are. They are made out of EPP, which is a foam squishy type of material. Anyway, this drone over here, again, hand-built, my own design. It has an autopilot on it, has about a 20-mile range, effectively. Probably actually more than that, depending on how it's loaded out. I use it for photography and videography. The same goes over here for the longbow. It again is also used for videography. This one is currently set up with a video system that I keep pointing out that is, that's the issue with trying to cluster these. The video system on here right now, you can see the little antenna sticking up. You can see the camera on the front. These are, again, limited, okay, to 4 to 6 usable channels. That's if they're set up correctly. A new user coming into this is probably not going to know. They're going to walk into the park, they're going to turn the drone on, and if someone else is on that frequency, they are now blown out. They pick up that user's video because it's closer to them and not their own. Where this becomes dangerous is, say I am 4 miles out here in my longbow, and I'm over one of the preserves, and I am doing photography, okay? And all of a sudden, I can no longer control my drone. Okay, there's a reason the FAA does not want the restrictions on these drones. Because this very thing here creates a potentially very dangerous situation for me and for the public. Right now, if I was to fly this, I would take it to a location. I can fly this, hand catch it, I can catch it, land it right next to me in the dirt. Okay, it's made out of a very soft foam, so it doesn't damage anything. It's not going to hurt anyone. It'll flutter down because of its design. The quadcopter over here, on the other hand, is what the city thinks that's what they consider a drone, a UAS. You talk to any park person, and they'll point at those, saying those are the problem, and they have been a problem. Okay, but there's a difference between someone flying one of these as a UAS and someone flying them as an RC aircraft. The FAA clearly divided the two. And this right here, the drone, okay, the quadcopter, has the potential to cause a lot of damage if it falls out of the air. Okay, and again, the same video rules apply. If a new user is flying one of these at one of the RC parks, okay, with video, they're using a set of goggles, okay, and someone comes in and turns their unit on, all of a sudden, they don't have control of that quadcopter anymore. There's a crash waiting to happen, and they will happen. I've seen them happen. Over here, sitting on top of the wing right now, I've placed a set of goggles, okay? These goggles are what I wear on my face. When I wear them, they allow the video from any of my drones to be transmitted to where I am. Now, using the goggles has its own issue. There's a transition period. Say I was flying this visually at the end of the limits, okay? Say I'm flying pretty much quad's a dot, quadcopter's a dot, I'm flying visually, and all of a sudden someone blanks out my video. When I pull those goggles up, okay, it takes me a while to transition. Okay, and trying to control a quadcopter at that distance is very, very, very hard. It can be very difficult. I've seen quite a few of these fly away from people because of that situation. And again, it all stems from the video blowouts. Swamping. If I am flying one of my planes and someone flies their quadcopter, okay, while the video on it is transmitting, they can swamp me. And again, I will lose my video. You really do not want these near each other. And that is exactly what the city is, again, proposing. And this is going to create a host of safety issues. And again, the FAA knows this. The drone users know this. The city seems oblivious to it, to what they're creating. You know what I mean? The monster they're going to create with this issue. I'm going to suggest a solution here to the drone issue that Phoenix is currently trying to deal with. I suggest you allow drones equipped with transmitting video and an autopilot to fly in parks and preserves when doing videography or photography, with the stipulation that they fly away from people, set a safe distance. Drones without transmitting video get sent to RC parks. This gives you a clear separation of the two, and I think this is what FAA had in mind, okay, when they separated us. One drone is made for going long distances, okay, for doing jobs, you know, like videography and photography. A line of sight drone is made for flying at the park, for doing, you know, tricks, for basically for leisure flight. The two are not the same. They're not even close to the same. Anyway, it's a solution. I'm throwing it up there. What happens, happens.